Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to today's event. I'm Jason Gumper from msdynamicsworld.com, and I'm joined by two members of the team from Solver to talk all about Excel reporting and BI 360. Our presenters are Mandy Rai and Matthias Brunk, and it is great to have them with us today. As we get started, please know that we do welcome your questions throughout today's event. Please look for the Q&A block you should see to the right of the main presentation area. If you don't see it, please look for the question mark icon in the upper right. That should enable Q&A if it isn't already for you. So without any further delay, I am going to hand things off to Mandy to get us started.
Okay, thank you, Jason, and thank you to everyone that is joining here today. My name is Mandy Rai, and I am managing the UK operations. Also speaking with me today will be my colleague Matthias Brunk, who manages the BI 360 suite outside of the US and throughout the rest of EMEA. So today's focus will be on the BI 360 suite and, more importantly, the reporting module. So if you are looking for a better way to report on your Dynamics data, or even if you are looking for a budgeting tool, then this session will be of great value to you. Over the next hour, I will start the session off with an overview of Solver, the company behind BI 360, as well as delving into the BI 360 suite, which is a business intelligence suite with pre-built integrations for Dynamics AX, GP, NAV, SL and 365. My colleague Matthias will then take over and show you a product demonstration, and after that we will end the session with a Q&A. So who is Solver? Solver is a global company that has been around for more than 20 years. We are an award-winning provider of self-service corporate performance management software. Predominantly, we do work in the Microsoft space, although we do have an increasing number of customers that are running other ERP systems. Today, Solver is about 200 employees and over 2,300 customers. As mentioned, not all these customers are on Dynamics. We do have customers using SAP and Sage, for instance. So globally, we have more than 15 offices. So offices in the UK, Africa, Canada and Asia. As you can see from the map here, we basically cover the whole world. The green dots on the map are just our Solver offices. We do also have partners, and our partner network is about 150 partners globally. These are resellers of BI 360 and may also be resellers of Dynamics as well and sell BI 360 as an add-on tool. In the UK, we have been established for a few years now and have over 50 clients and 15 partners, and we are looking to grow this over the coming years. Our two main offices are in LA and Stockholm. The development of BI 360 is based in LA, where our global management team resides, whereas Stockholm provides local support and implementation for the whole of EMEA. Here is a snapshot of some of our customers. Some of these are on Dynamics. So if you do require a reference or a customer success story, then we can handle that, as all of these customers are using BI 360 in one way or another. So let's move on into the product. So what is BI 360? Well, BI 360 is a business intelligence suite with 4 main modules. We have the live reporting module, which can be run in Excel or the web. We have the live budgeting module, which means you can have a live budgeting template writing back directly to Dynamics based on your dimensions and chart of accounts, etc., giving you the opportunity to have a live budgeting and reporting solution in one platform. Also, we have live dashboards. Those are web-based, and we will try to show you those later on in the demonstration. Also, if you have other data sources or other data that is not sat in Dynamics that you want to connect to, or report and budget on, then we do offer a pre-configured data warehouse that can be put side by side with Dynamics and also can be put side by side with reporting, which will offer you live reporting as well as data warehouse reporting in one single platform. So these are the main 4 modules in BI360 today. And today we will focus on reporting, budgeting and dashboards. These modules, or the BI360 suite, can be offered on-premise or in the cloud. So if anyone is running Dynamics in-house, you can install BI360 in-house. We do have web or Excel interfaces. We have live reports, but the data warehouse can offer stage reporting, which basically means you can import data on a regular basis from multiple data sources and have live reports on the data warehouse. So what is BI360 good for? Well, everything starts with a business benefit. No matter how good the technology might be, you should always look at the business benefit. I'm going to highlight 4 main business benefits with BI360. Firstly, it is very easy to install. It takes approximately 1 hour to install. It's as simple as downloading the software and the pre-built integrations. Once you install the software, you will have access to pre-built templates for Dynamics. And I think we offer roughly about 20 of those. So you'll have 20 pre-built templates to get you up and running. And basically within 1 hour of implementation, you have a live reporting tool for Dynamics for your business. Secondly, it's got an easy design. So BI360 has been built for the business user. It has a business user report writer. You do not have to be a consultant or IT professional to build reports. It has an easy drag and drop design of the templates. The main categories of users are what we call viewers. These are the end users. And all they have to do is they run reports with a parameter. And once they run the report, it will populate the report with real-time data from Dynamics. Our super user interface is for business users. So if you know how to use Excel, you'll be able to learn BI360 in basically 1 day. Thirdly, it's easy to use. So going back to the end users, the viewers, all they have to do is simply click run on a template and they can easily drill down into the data within that report. They can export the data within that report. And for those that may be interested in budgeting, our budgeting module, we do have a workflow, so where you can control or have control of who has done what and when, and you're able to monitor that. So again, it's a really easy to use tool. No training is required for end users. We only train the super users, and again, 1 day of training will be more than sufficient for those that are experienced in Excel. Lastly, and most importantly, it's easy to share. So you can copy paste from every template or report you have, both on the web and in Excel. The web-based portal is very easy to share, to use for sharing information. All you need to do is log on through a web page, and once you are logged in, you will see all your reports with all the live information, and all you have to do is click an update button and you will see the latest numbers in real time from Dynamics. As part of our sharing, we do offer a publisher module, which means you can distribute reports on a scheduled basis as an email. I will touch upon this a little bit later on in the presentation. So let's move on to the product. So everything you see on the screen are live reports or dashboards on Dynamics. That is the core of the product and what we will be demonstrating a bit shortly today. We are live on Dynamics. We connect directly to the Dynamics database, and the reports you build, or that we can build for you, are all connecting live to Dynamics. So it's the most up-to-date information that you will receive. Which basically means if a new transaction is created and the user runs a report a couple of seconds after that, that transaction will be included in the summarization of that report. The live connection is a very important and powerful factor within BI360. The out-of-box integration that we provide will include over 10,000 fields from Dynamics. So basically everything you need to report on are included in the out-of-box integrations. But it's not only actual fields and attributes, but we have included logic into our integrations. By logic, I mean links. So normally we can connect from the GL to the business partner hierarchy or the chart of accounts, which will give you the possibility to create complex and advanced reports based on different attributes in different sections within Dynamics. So you can combine information, for instance, from the general ledger and accounts receivable into one simple report, showing you the values or calculations. For example, you could have revenue by volume or revenue by customer in one spreadsheet. As you can appreciate, not many organizations will run Dynamics solely out of the box. There will be elements of customization needed, and of course it is easy to customize the integrations within BI360 as well. So if you have added UDFs or custom tables in Dynamics, those can be easily included on top of the standard integration within BI360 to give you customer-specific integration, including your specific attribute fields or tables. And here are some of the native connectors that we have. So we've got Microsoft Dynamics Nav, AX, GP, SL, and a few others. So we do have native connectors with Salesforce, for example. So let's look more into how the platform of BI360 works. As I've mentioned, you have a reporting, budgeting, and dashboards which are live on Dynamics through the pre-built integrations. We have a middle layer connecting to the Dynamics database, making it possible to build dynamic reports in Excel, which will then populate with latest numbers in real time, and that is through our pre-built integration. The budgeting module will write back directly to a budgeting table in Dynamics, and the dashboards will pull data in real time from Dynamics, so giving you the latest information. The design of the reports is being done in Excel, so it's in a familiar environment, but the viewing of the reports can either be in Excel or on the web. So on the web using through a web page, which will enable users to view reports from any device. We have an admin interface where you can handle user permissions, integrations, customizations, which means not everyone needs to be a Dynamics user to run a report in BI360. BI360 is a side-by-side application, making it possible to distribute information to people not having a license on Dynamics. It is an easy drag and drop design and can be on-premise or in the cloud. Outside of the BI360 suite, we do have additional modules, which unfortunately we won't have time to show you today, but please do reach out to myself if you would like to know more information on these modules. I will run through these now. So firstly, we have a multi-company module, which gives you the possibility for live consolidation throughout an unlimited number of companies. So if you are running Dynamics with multiple legal entities, you can have consolidated reports summarizing actuals and budgets throughout all those entities into one single view in real time. Secondly, I mentioned this earlier, we do have a publisher module, which enables you to distribute reports by email as a PDF or Excel or HTML. These can be scheduled and ran on conditions. So for example, every Monday morning at 9 a.m. you can run last week's sales reports automatically, and the receivers of those reports do not need to have a BI360 license. We also have a data warehouse which can provide you with advanced consolidation, and if you wish to add more than one data source, the data warehouse is good for that. You can run Dynamics with other source systems, so CRM system, it could be your payroll system. All of our suite is, like I mentioned, available in the cloud and on-premise, and so is our data warehouse. So it's a very flexible solution. With the data warehouse specifically, we do offer pre-built cloud connectors, for instance, like Salesforce, and we are adding more as we speak. So we do have native or pre-built connectors that you can connect to. You can also connect to any source system by using SSIS, which means it's basically an integration service within SQL Server and can basically connect to any type of data source. Okay, so that's enough talking from me right now. We will now move on to the live demonstration. So I will, at this moment in time, pass you over to my colleague Matthias, who will show a demonstration of the BI360 suite.
Thank you, Mandy, and thank you very much for that nice introduction. I guess some of the other panelists can just let me know if I'm too far away or if you can hear me loud and clear. I will share my screen in a second, and I think that should be it.
Audio sounds good.
Everything good? Cool.
Yeah.
So, like Mandy said, BI360 works both on-premise and in the cloud, and we have two types of interfaces. Either the end users can run reports in our web-based portal, or you can run them in Excel, and I will of course show you both interfaces. So starting with the web-based portal, the end users would log on, and the first thing they see is of course a report library. The report library can be structured into different sections, and you can of course set permissions. So for instance, the sales responsible can only see the sales reports, while the finance department can of course see the finance reports. So if I go into all, you will see a long list of all the report templates we have in this specific portal, while I, as an end user working with financial analysis and reporting, would of course only see a subset of these. So all of these are templates. If I click on one of those, it will open up. And even though it looks like I already have some numbers, that is not really the case. What I see here is just a snapshot of this report the last time I ran it. If I want to refresh it, I just click on refresh. So now the underlying source system, in this case the data warehouse, is queried, and I will always see the latest numbers in my report. Also worth noticing is that all reports, regardless of web or Excel, are parameter driven. So in this case, I'm running my balance sheet report for a specific entity for a specific time period. So of course, you don't have to create multiple templates just because you have more than one cost center or one entity. It's just being some other user running the same template, but for another parameter selection. So I change entity, I click refresh, and I will of course see the numbers related to that entity instead of the other one. Same goes of course for time period. So a balance sheet reports are normally used, every month for until the end of time. So of course it's not about creating new templates for each specific month. It would just be to run the report, but for another time period selection. So instead of September, I will now run it for November and click refresh. And as Mandy said, everything here is live on the underlying system. So whenever a new transaction is created in the ERP system, for instance, Dynamics GP, NAV, or AX, I just have to click refresh, and I would see the numbers change if that would have been the case. So this is an example of a balance sheet report being ran in the portal, and I say it's live, so let's look if I'm right. If I can see the sum of transactions for that amount, hopefully I can prove I'm right. So cash and equivalents has a summarization of 962,000. I can right-click as an end user and do a drill down. That will bring me to the list of transactions generating that amount. And if I'm live on the ERP system, this would actually be a live link directly down to the transactions in the ERP system. And if you are using invoice scanning systems, we have several cases where we have included columns with a link bringing you directly to the scanned invoice for each specific transaction. So the drill down is always available on any number. If I right click on some other number, of course I will see a drill down of those transactions instead of the other transaction I just viewed. So scrolling down, you can see, of course, the groupings you normally have in your chart of accounts divided into different sections, and of course then calculating some summarizations at the bottom. The same report or the same type of report being ran in Excel would look like this. I will open a balance sheet template that someone else has built, and now you can see more clearly that from the beginning it's empty. So I'm now in the Excel-based viewing interface, meaning I have an add-in installed for BI 360 reporting. This will enable me to run a template being built by the super users, but I'm still just an ordinary, what we call, viewer. So this template takes one parameter, the posting periods, and I believe I can run it for February 2014. And it will query the GP database, and it will respond with the results summarized in real time. So now I can see a different type of layout where I actually have the possibility to click the group function and see the underlying accounts summarizing to the group I was viewing. And again, in Excel, you can also right-click and do a drill down. So this will bring me a new sheet with the drill down of these specific transactions, generating the summarization I right-clicked on. So by using Excel as a designing interface, you can use all the functions that Excel supports, of course. So everything between grouping rows and columns to have a nice overview and then go into more details, and all the way down to transaction level by right-clicking is of course supported. But more importantly, everything that has something to do with formatting or formulas is supported. So of course, this is a summarization formula giving me the total current assets. As you can see, the template itself is just a reference to the subtotals above. So this means that you can use any type of summarizations, any type of calculations. For instance, now my Excel is doing some calculations that you can do in Excel. So this means if you know Excel, you will learn how to build reports in one day of training, because 80% of this template is basically Excel logic. So my next step in this demo will be to show you how to build a P&L report from scratch live on Dynamics GP. Finally, or later on, I will move on to show you some more example reports, and of course also how you can make them right-back enabled, meaning you can have live budgeting and forecasting templates with BI 360 as well. So let's assume I want to build a P&L report. What you see now is our add-in in Excel, but I'm now a super user. I said the end viewers, they did only see a Run tab, and they could select parameters and then click the Run button. If I am a super user, I will also see the design tab. So these are for the ones that we normally train for one day. So this exposes my entirely ERP structure. So Mandy mentioned more than 10,000 fields, and that is correct. So for the moment, I'm connected to Dynamics GP, and I can see all the modules I have in Dynamics GP, and within each module, for instance, the finance module, I see fact sets, meaning group of information that are related. So for instance, if I go into the actual details and expand that, I can see a lot of GP fields that are probably being used, and all of these fields can be used for reporting. So just to go through very quick, we have some general company information. We have, of course, the purchasing module with all the purchase orders, etc. Information related to vendors, for instance. And as Mandy mentioned, we have links built in. So if I want to build a summary report of my purchase orders and group that by country, for instance, where my vendors are located, that would be possible. Because as we said, it's not just exposing the purchase order table, we also have logic bringing in the vendor-related information, or of course the chart of accounts, or maybe most common, the organization hierarchy that you are using. So this is the purchasing module, for instance. You have the sales orders, a lot of information. So the challenge is always for the super users to know what fields you are using, but as long as you know that, you will be self-sufficient in all your internal report design. And again, this is GP. It looks the same for Dynamics AX, Dynamics NAV, Dynamics SL, and also, of course, as Mandy mentioned, for SAP and for Sage. So it would be the same. It would be your fields, and it would, of course, be your names on the fields you are using. We are reading the names from your ERP system. And again, if you have added attributes, you know, UDFs or custom fields, those can also be included. So you can extend the integration if you want. So let's go back to the finance module, and I will do this pretty fast. Normally it's 1 day of training, now compressed into like 5 minutes, but let me show you how to do it. So if I am a finance director or a controller and I want to create a P&L template for my organization, this would be the way to do it. A P&L report normally is grouped by account and month. So I will find the actual details where I have my financial information, and I will just drag and drop the account string attribute. And then I say I want that to expand by row, but I do not only want the account string, I also want to find the account and the account description. So by this, I have created something we in BI360 call a dynamic row group. So basically, if I run it now, I will just display my full chart of accounts, and I will find the relevant description in a second, live on GP. So if you add a new account and you click run, of course, that account would be included. So let me just find the relevant one. It should be that one. Sorry for that. So let's run it again. Now we see. So these are all the account names that you would have, of course, in your specific instance of the ERP system. So let's move on. That is a list of accounts. Okay, if I want to build a P&L, I probably want some period months on the column level. So I'm creating one column group and one row group. And if I have account and time period, all I want to do is summarize the amount by month and account. So I can actually run this one now. I have a parameter for time. I'm going to select 1 month in 2017. And when I run it, BI360 will summarize all my transactions by account for the specific month. So if I right click on this one, you can do a drill down, and you can see it's a summarization of salaries and wages, because that was my account 5100 that I right clicked on. Then going back to design mode, of course you would normally spend some more time on formatting. I will spend just a few seconds, but I will give this template heading saying this is my P&L report. I'm just going to make some titles or headings. Again, this is Excel. We'll make these, maybe just this blue with white text. This is an amount, so I will of course format it as an amount, and finally I will just remove the grid line. Second thing I can do is to set some properties on my time period selection. So for instance, I will allow for my end users for now to select one or more months. So if I run it, I can run it for 1 month, or my end users can, but of course I can also run it for a full year or a quarter, or let's just pick 6 months. So now the number of rows and columns will increase because I selected 6 months, so I will get 6 columns, and I will see a list of all the accounts where I have some transactions. So everything again is live and it's behaving depending on the underlying data in the ERP system. Finally, to move this closer to a P&L, I want to create some groupings. So going into the account group on row 9, I can create a filter. Now it's based on account string, but I will actually create a group based on the natural account. So I'm going to find that in the account string. I have account. I'm going to remove that, and I'm going to create a filter because I want to display not all accounts. I want to create a subset. So this will create an interval of accounts, meaning every account that has a transaction within this range will be included in this specific group. And here you have a possibility to create custom groupings. So for instance, if you have some type of hierarchy that you do not have in the ERP system, you can actually create your custom hierarchy by creating multiple row groups and specifying ranges and specific intervals or specific accounts if you want. And this can of course be applied on anything. Now I'm working on the chart of accounts, but it would be the same if you were working with an attribute for product, customers, country, region, etc. I would just do this. I will say everything that begins with a 4, and I'm just going to test this because on GP I'm not sure if my revenues starts with a 4. I have some codes, so I'm going to do everything up to 4500. So let's go back and select an interval. So I want to create a section for revenue. So I said 45, everything from that one down to that. And then I'm going to create a subtotal. And of course, you are pretty familiar with Excel, so it would be about using an Excel sum formula, specifying the sum of everything above. And this is very important. During one day of training, what BI 360 does and what you need to learn is that whenever someone clicks run, it does insert rows and insert columns. So you always need to reference one extra row and one extra column. And again, this is the summarization formula, very basic, but you can use any type of logic, sum if, count if, etc., VLOOKUPs. You can create very powerful reports by just using standard Excel functionality while letting BI 360 bringing you the data that's relevant. So to finalize this one, I'm going back to design. Thinking, there we go. So this is one account group. I will then just copy paste that into 3 different sections. I have 3 different row groups, and in this case I will select another interval because I already have my revenues. I will just select some COGS. I believe it was probably up to that. And then I will select this one starting from 5, going up to 6. Let's do like that. This will not be my revenues, this will now be my COGS, and let me just run it to see what the final group should be called. And I will then add a calculation for giving me my gross margin. I have some COGS, maybe I have some more, and that's my salary. So let's go back and finalize this one. Subtotal revenues, it's not revenues, it was salaries. And of course, instead of specifying or selecting ranges of accounts, you could just highlight an account group and specifying that one. But given that I have revenues, COGS, and salaries, let's assume my gross result would be, not question mark, but I think my revenues are with a minus. It would be revenues plus COGS plus salaries. And of course, if that is the case, you could add some conditional formatting saying if it's greater than 0, it's going to be bad. And if it's less than 0, it's going to be good. And let's make it bold. So again, I think you can see the concept. Of course, in this case, I'm calculating a number. I could calculate it as a percentage if you want and just format it as a percentage in Excel. So there you go. And the gross result is, of course, referencing the relevant summarizations, and each summarization is referencing the live data from the ERP system. So again, this is my template. This template can be run by my end users in Excel like I just did, or if you have the web-based portal, I would just click Upload Report, and it would appear in the portal library for the relevant users, and they would be able, for instance, to run it in here. So this is another profit and loss report. I have spent some more time on this one, but it's the same concept. Again, I'm comparing some actuals, and in this case, I'm comparing the actuals for some other time periods and calculating variances. One very powerful feature in BI 360 that I don't have time to show you are the time intelligence functions. So in my P&L report, I was selecting period parameters, and I was displaying the equivalent number of columns. We have built in a lot of time intelligence functions. So if I want to compare the selected month to the same month last year, it would be for me as a designer just to drag and drop this function onto the designer pane, and it would automatically always find the relevant period last year. Same goes, of course, for rolling windows backward and forward. So there's a lot of stuff to use that we have spent a lot of time on pre-developing. Going back to the portal, of course, with Excel as the end user interface and Excel as the designer, you have unlimited number of reports you can build. So everything that Excel supports in terms of graphical charts and components, for instance this one, can be used based on any type of information that you have in your source system. So I just want to show you very briefly, we have a report book with some examples of reports that are produced with BI 360, either ran in Excel or in the web-based portal. So this is an example that we call a narrative report, where we're actually calculating and generating a text about the current number. So we say the profitability was obviously weak with a net income of a specific amount. Of course, all of this is hiddenly based on live numbers from the ERP system, but we're using Excel logic to create a more easy to digest type of report. Of course, you can create types of dashboards. Again, this is also Excel standard. They are called spark lines with conditional formatting. Of course, you can have traditional finance report, profit and loss with a lot of KPI indicators, etc. And it's all about how creative you want to be with Excel combined with BI 360. Back to the portal. So I'm going to log out to show you the budgeting functionality. So if you want, you can use BI 360 for live reporting, but also for live budgeting. And we have a pre-package of budgeting and forecasting templates that you can get installed and configured according to your chart of accounts within 1 week. So 5 days, we could deliver a full budgeting, forecasting, and reporting solution live on Dynamics. Works on AX, NAV, and GP. The templates has a P&L structure. It's basically the same type of report that I was building, but we're now using something called the budget ID. So once I open it, I will see my actuals to the right, in this case by account. And to do my budget or forecast, I can just enter my number. So I can actually type into this one. I can copy paste. I can use drag and drop. Sorry. Because this is basically a web generation or web rendering on an Excel spreadsheet. And once I click Store Data, I'm writing this data back to the budgeting tables in Dynamics. So you can use it for reporting, and as Mandy said, the budgeting is an add-on module that will work together and side by side with the reporting module. So this case, I was entering a budget for a specific department connected to a specific budget ID in the ERP system. So we can be 100 department managers working simultaneously, bringing you the consolidated numbers in real time in an output report. So the budgeting functionality comes with live connections back to the budgeting table. And of course, since before you had the reporting module with a live reporting link to both the budgeting but all other information in the ERP system. So that's reporting in Excel, it's reporting on the web. It was budgeting and forecasting on the web, and that will only work in the web-based portal, the budgeting. Reporting works both in Excel and in the portal. And in the web-based portal, we do also have dashboards. So dashboards are being built with the same type of drag and drop scenario. And they are also live on the ERP system, bringing the end user a nice interface for some KPIs. So for instance, I want to see my dashboards for projects. So let's assume we have designed a project dashboard that should be my kind of cockpit if I'm a project manager. So to the left, I see a list of the projects I have, and to the right I see different KPIs of how those revenues and costs are allocated. If I click on one project, of course the other components will update, so I can see the specifics for this specific project. Click on the next one, and the rest will of course also update. Again, everything is live, so either I click on refresh if I want to have an updated information from the ERP system, or I can even specify an auto refresh. So we have some customers using this on wide screens in their offices, for instance displaying call center queues or current sales by the minute if you are a large organization. You know, the number of examples are more or less unlimited as long as you have the information in the ERP system or in the BI 360 data warehouse. So if I set in this on auto refresh, it will refresh automatically once every minute without me having to click refresh. So the dashboards are also live, the reports are live, and the budgeting templates are live. It's more about what you want to design and what you want to visualize. One day of training for the super users, and then you can actually be totally self-sufficient within your organization in terms of any type of reporting. Of course, financial, but more importantly, any type of operational report as well. Quantities, volumes, average prices, name it. Everything is available through the pre-built integration. And that finalizes my demonstration. I will pass over the administrative interface or permissions to Mandy. And I thank you very all for viewing and listening.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, Matthias. So, sorry, just to recap there then, we were shown the reporting module, the budgeting module, as well as the web dashboards. Now, with our BI 360 suite, it can grow with your organization. So what do I mean by that? I mean basically you can add modules and functions as you grow and as you go. So all of our modules are independent, therefore you can start off with our reporting module and grow to add our budgeting, data warehouse, or any other of our add-ons. The price point stays the same whether you buy now or later. To start off, we do for our reporting module, we do have a low entry point as well. I won't be going into pricing today, but if you would like further information on pricing, then please do reach out to myself. My details will be available on the next slide, which is this one. So there's my email address, there's our global website, and I'd like to thank you all for listening to the presentation today. I hope you found it useful and interesting, and I guess now is the time for any Q&As.
Okay, thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Matthias. Please do enter any additional questions you have now if you have come in already, and we will start getting to them. So just to cover one point that's been asked a couple times, we have recorded today's event and we will be sharing information on that with all of you after the live presentation is over. The next question is asking, does BI 360 require an application server?
Do you want me to answer that, Mandy, or do you want
to? Yeah, you can take that, Matthias.
Yeah, so it's a very good question. So it depends. If you're using the Excel-based interface, you do not need an application server. So it's a very thin client, so to speak. We would connect to the existing SQL Server where you have the ERP information, and we would just connect with the add-in in Excel. So it's basically no need for additional servers. If you're using the web-based portal, we need somewhere to install that, but that can preferably be done on an existing server as well. So normally, no, you do not need an application server, but it might be the case that you want to install the internet application for the web-based portal on a new one if you don't have any initially.
Okay, the next question is how licensing works with BI 360.
That's for you, Mandy.
Yeah, sure. So we have so each of our modules will need a would need a license. So you would pay for the module, and then we have really two user licenses. So we have what we refer to as super users, which are the report writers, which will create reports in Excel. And then we have what we call the viewers, which are our end users, and they are the ones that are able to select parameters, whether that be time periods, for example, and run reports. Again, for pricing, if you would like to know more, please do get in touch with myself, and I can talk through the pricing with you once I've understood what your requirements are.
Okay, the next question is asking about the data warehouse. Is it SQL-based or proprietary?
Yeah, so it's based on a SQL Server. To be a little bit more technical, it's actually a standardized architecture, which means it's pre-configured in that matter that it comes with a data warehouse structure. All you need to do is to specify what should be in it and, of course, bring the data in. But it's an open database. It's not a black box. It's just a very fast way. It enables you to get a data warehouse up and running in weeks rather than months. And it's, of course, by that also very scalable. So it can be used for any type of reporting and data warehouse information, starting from a small organization growing up to an enterprise-sized organization, because we utilize SQL Server to 100%.
Okay, someone asks, how can I expose custom fields from Dynamics 365 to BI 360?
That is also a very good question, because we have talked a lot and displayed a lot of the pre-built functions in the integration. Of course, as Mandy said, no one runs the ERP system out of the box. Basically, everyone makes customizations. So you can quite easily extend the integration to add your custom fields or even custom tables or custom sections. So I normally say that our out-of-the-box integration with normally 10,000 fields, that covers 90% of the reporting requirements, and the remaining 10 can very easily be extended to the integration in the initial setup, and that normally takes a few hours, of course, depending on the level of extension to do. But it's also not needed to be an IT professional to do, to be honest. It's within our administrative application.
Okay, the next question, is BI360 available in other languages than English?
Yeah, so I can respond to that, Mandy, if it's okay. Well, the application itself is so to speak very thin. So you have the menus in Excel, and those are in English. But everything you build in a report is about what you write in it, right? And everything that gets brought into the report comes from the ERP system. So for instance, I'm based in Sweden. I have Swedish account names in my version of Dynamics Nav. So I will of course see my Swedish account names whenever I run a report. And I also have Swedish titles in my reports and also Swedish headings in the report itself. So I would say 99% of the application can be in your local language. Basically, the only thing that's not are the menus in the Excel add-in saying BI360 report and run report. The rest can be customized.
All right, the next question, how do you handle new accounts being added to the trial balance?
Normally, you don't have to handle them because they get included. Like I showed you in the demo, if you are building your templates or dashboards with ranges, meaning not specifying 5 specific accounts, rather a section in the chart of accounts, for instance, everything that starts with a 4 or that's within a specific account group, or between 2 specific account numbers, everything within that will automatically be updated in the report. So the only exception is basically if you have created a very custom grouping in a report where you have specified, for instance, 5 individual accounts, and you want to include the new account in that, you would have to add it as a designer. But the whole purpose with BI360 is that it should be as dynamic as possible. So with the dynamic row and column groups, that account would probably be automatically included in the trial balance report.
Okay, I want to make a final call for questions. We have one more here, and then we'll begin wrapping up. So the question is, how does BI360 access data from Dynamics?
Well, it is a very smart query generator. So basically what happens is when someone clicks run on a report, regardless of the web portal or within the Excel-based interface, what is happening is we are sending a query down to the SQL server where the ERP system is running. That query is of course then executed by SQL Server, and SQL Server is built for executing query and store data. So we utilize the power of SQL Server in terms of executing the query, and then the result of that query is sent back to the client and just being rendered in the Excel instance or in the web-based portal. So there is very little load on the clients, and we base it on SQL Server for computing. So we are connecting by sending queries, executing those, and then sending the result back to the add-in that will just render the information according to the report structure and, of course, the formatting and color specified in that specific template.
All right, great. Well, thank you, Matthias. I think we're at the end of the question queue here, so we can begin wrapping up and maybe give people a couple minutes back on their hour. So Matthias, Mandy, thank you both so much for taking the time to present and answer all the questions today.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
Great. With that, we are going to wrap up. Thank you to everyone again in the audience too for your questions. Much appreciated. And please do be on the lookout for updates on how to get more information. Also be on the lookout for a quick survey that will pop up. Any feedback you can provide is greatly valued by us and by our presenters. With that, we are going to conclude today's event. Have a great day, everybody.